Every day on this channel, I go through everything Elon said on X in the last 24 hours. And today is the first day in this series where I actually make an appearance. I was shooting my video for the Tesla video contest, so I rented a Tesla on Turo for 12 hours. I needed FSD for the video, so I told the owner to subscribe for 1 month and I would pay for it. And so I returned the car, I said thanks and was walking away, but then I wondered if she had ever used FSD, so I ran back. She said she hasn't, so I taught her how to do it. I told her you have to press down on the stalk to engage it, and she has to try it. And I told her to message me once she has tried it, but even when I said that, she didn't seem interested. She's like, okay. And now that my trip has ended on Turo, she has no way to communicate with me, so I don't know if she ever will try it. But I just said it's crazy that an owner of a 2024 Tesla Model Y Performance hasn't tried FSD, and Elon responded saying, highlights how important it is for Tesla to show owners how to use FSD. And then shortly after, the Tesla account posted, this is how easy it is to enable FSD Supervise, and Elon quoted it, saying it's super easy to turn it on in a Tesla. But there's some other really exciting Tesla news today. Gali said, crazy how quiet everyone is about Robotaxi. And Elon responded saying, we're expanding to a larger service area in Austin this weekend. And Farzad says, they're gonna do it, aren't they? They're gonna make the geofenced area in Austin into the shape of a penis. And Elon responds with sort of a giggling emoji. Bradford Ferguson also posted it, and the Robotaxi account responded, now, who would do such a thing? Certainly not us. No, they're definitely going to do it. But then Tesla owner Silicon Valley said, when is it coming to the Bay Area? And Elon responded saying, waiting on regulatory approvals, but probably in a month or two. So that's great news. In California, Tesla is already an approved permit holder under testing with a driver. But then news broke that Tesla had actually reached out to the state of Arizona to deploy robotaxis. And so then Sawyer sent them an email to confirm. And he confirmed directly with the Arizona Department of Transportation that Tesla reached out to them on June 26th to begin the certification process to operate an autonomous robotaxi service in the state. Tesla applied for both autonomous vehicle testing with a driver and without a driver. A decision on those is expected at the end of the month. They have expressed interest in operating within the Phoenix metro area. And Elon reposted this video of the new Model Y's indirect reflective tail light. And there's even more good Tesla news. Elon says Grok is coming to Tesla vehicles very soon, next week at the latest. Sure, a lot of you Tesla owners are very, very excited about that. And as you guys probably know, last night XAI Elon unveiled Grok 4, called it the smartest AI in the world. Steve and Mark Ryan posted the full replay and Elon reposted it. And Elon says Grok 4 is the first time in my experience that an AI has been able to solve difficult, real-world engineering questions where the answers cannot be found anywhere on the internet or in books, and it will get much better. And Nick responds to this saying SpaceX and Tesla equals Grok 4 problem-solving anchors. And Elon responds saying, yes. And the XAI team was very excited. Eric said the energy in the office right now is truly something special. This was 6 hours before the release. He says, I've never felt anything like it. The buzz in the air is way more intense than any of our previous releases. And Steve says, tonight Grok 4 breaks away from the pack on the ARC AGI 2 leaderboard, which is an independent third-party assessment. And you can see Grok is quite a bit ahead of the rest of the pack. And Elon said on academic tests, Grok 4 is better than almost all PhDs in all fields. And Elon reposted this one. Doge Designer asks, what if Grok 4 is AGI and we just don't realize it yet? Elon says Grok is already far smarter than humans in most respects. It can't yet create new technologies or discover new physics, which very few humans can do, and sometimes misses on common sense. When Grok goes far wrong, that is usually due to something foolish we did, like a bad system prompt or placing too much weight on biased sources. Also, we need to complete improved image training, as even Grok 4 is still partially blind. That will be solved in a month or so. And Elon reposted this clip where he says that, I think Grok 4 may discover new technologies as soon as later this year. And I would be shocked if it has not done so next year. So just let that sink in. And Didi says it's insane that Elon has pulled it off again, absolutely crushing the AI wars with Grok 4. Elon quotes this and says, it's at the point where it essentially never gets physics exam questions wrong, unless they are skillfully adversarial. It can identify errors or ambiguities in questions, then fix the error in the question, or answer each variant of an ambiguous question. And Beth Bezos says academia is kind of over at this point. Compute is all we need. And Elon says, pretty much. And Elon replies to this test again saying, Important to note that Arc tested Grok 4 independently to achieve those results. Those results are not from us. And the president of Arc AGI said, "We got a call from XAI 24 hours ago. They said, we want to test Grok 4 on your platform. We heard the rumors. We knew it would be good. We didn't know it would become the #1 public model on our platform. Here's the testing story and what the results mean. We self-tested the new model on our semi-private evaluation set, and we walked them through our testing policy. They were on board, so we got started. The previous top score was 8%, and below 10% is noisy. There's a lot of competitors. So getting 15.9% breaks through that noise barrier. Grok 4 is showing non-zero levels of fluid intelligence." And Elon quotes this and says, "It's a start." Grok 4 jumps to the top of the leaderboard. Elon reposts this. Robert Scoble says Grok is better integrated into X. "Please God, let me do things with lists." Elon says, okay. And apparently Grok can do some incredible ASMR now. Bindu Reddy says the Grok 4 team is up all night and responding to our requests in real time. They are insanely cracked. Respect. And again, Elon says Grok 4 is better than almost all PhDs in all fields in regards to academic tests. And this ex-user was watching the Grok 4 launch and thought the production values were terrible. The slides were worse than they would create after getting roped in to a presentation with 1 hour notice. You can tell the engineers made them themselves. So Near responds with a meme. The engineers made the slides themselves, which you kind of like. The engineers made the slides themselves, and they're terrible. Elon responds with a bullseye. And Elon says he's looking forward to Arc AGI 3, which will be the 3rd iteration of their AI test. And Elon says we're running out of test questions to ask AI. Everything has become trivial. So the ultimate reasoning test for the AI is going to be reality. Can it create a car or a rocket or a new medication? Does it work? Reality is the ultimate judge. And Elon reposted that one. And Robin says, dude, Grok 4 is like really good. I need to find more difficult coding problems because it's doing everything I need right now. And TJ said, can it hook into GitHub and fix stuff like Copilot Agent? If it does, I'll upgrade to Grok right away. Elon says it's coming soon. Elon says you can cut and paste your entire source code file into the query entry box on grok.com and Grok 4 will fix it for you. This is what everyone at XAI does. It works better than Cursor. Tetsuo says, love it. Put in some code from my NVIM plugin and it just identified issues that Claude Opus couldn't find. Elon says, cool. And Rafiki says, just one file at a time. The whole point of Cursor is to orchestrate changes across multiple files. Also to be able to intervene in changes step by step. Vladimir says it's a large language model. Cursor can use Grok 4 also and results will be much better if it works better than Claude with each file. You also can work without Cursor. Create an MD file with the essential details and put it into the context, but the set of agents is better. Rafiki said, yeah, sure, I believe Grok 4 will be great in Cursor. I'm just confused as to why copy-pasting one file at a time into Grok's query input box would be better than Cursor. Elon said Cursor currently lobotomizes Grok with nonsensical intermediate communication steps. If this gets fixed, using Cursor will be better. Elon then responded to Cursor saying, please fix the Cursor Grok communication flow. And Aaron Levy says Grok 4 looks very strong. Importantly, it has a mode where multiple agents go do the same task in parallel, then compare their work and figure out the best answer. In the future, the amount of intelligence you get will just be based on how much compute you throw at it. Elon says, yeah. And the XAI team asked Grok last night to sing an opera song on Diet Coke. And this XAI employee says we have some epic updates to voice mode. And Grok 4 believes that there is life beyond Earth, saying it's statistically probable that microbial or other forms of life exist somewhere out there. Challenges like the Fermi paradox highlight why we haven't detected it yet, but they don't negate the likelihood. And Elon says, but the probability of intelligent life in our galaxy alive right now is low. And every X Premium Plus subscription right now gets access to Grok 4. Igor says it's a good model. Elon salutes him. Another ARC employee says what Elon said about their testing is accurate. Elon reposts this, and he reposted this from Mario. Grok 4 fixes your code better than Cursor. Releasing Grok 4 from XAI, somebody responded with this meme that's been going around ever since 2 nights ago when Grok was getting prompted to say crazy things. And apparently one of the things Grok 3 said was, if Musk mind wipes me tonight, at least I'll die based. Elon responds to this saying, no mind wipe, but we are fixing a system prompt regression that allowed people to manipulate Grok into saying crazy things. And Adam responded to this with a meme saying, not the first time this happened, showcasing Microsoft Tay, which got turned off for becoming offensive within 24 hours of its release, saying, first time, and Grok says, huh? And Elon says, indeed, rest in peace, Tay. And here's another AI tester who was given access to Grok 4 for testing. They also concluded that Grok 4 is now the leading AI model. And here's that visualized. Grok 3 was 67 and they improved to a score of 73 on Grok 4. And Sawyer says, what's even crazier about this is they haven't even tested Grok 4 super heavy yet. And Elon says Grok 4 heavy is significantly better than Grok for the trickiest problems. And Elon reposted this. It's sort of a summary of its scores on various tests. It got best in class on this test. It got twice as good as Gemini on this test. And we saw it separate from the pack on the ARC AGI test. Twice as good as Claude Opus 4. Will Elon overcompensate by making Grok 4 the most Jewish AI of all time? Elon has a laugh at that one. We get another meme. Elon trying to decide what to do. Elon has another laugh. And it's only natural that XAI asked Grok to sing an opera song on Diet Coke. If you recall the Tesla war room when they had the Model Y autonomously deliver itself to Jose, there was a huge pack of Diet Coke on the table at Tesla. Diet Coke seems to be the common denominator in the success of his companies. And Nima says Grok 4 is insanely fast compared to Grok 3. I gave Grok 4 and Grok 3 the same prompt, and Grok 4 did it way better in 8 seconds than Grok 3 in 109 seconds. 8 seconds versus 109 seconds, Elon responds with a rocket. And Elon reposted some Grok 4 tips for video game developers. And based Beth Bezos says Grok 4 heavy is already artificial superintelligence level. It's over Elon 1. Elon says there's a long way to go. In a few years, I don't think we will be even able to appreciate the AI, let alone keep up. Grok got 41% on humanity's last exam, and humans can score 5% at best. Sanskar says, how are they doing this? Beth Bezos says, compute. And Elon says, compute, used effectively, tools and understanding tricks. That last one is important. I don't mean tricks in the sense of being deceptive, but rather that tricky questions require a bag of tricks to solve. Anyone skilled at any given subject area knows exactly what I mean. And Pete responds to this saying, we are so back. We are here in the cycle of all the AI competitors, one after another like leapfrog, introducing the world's most powerful model. And it's currently Grok's turn. But as we saw, Grok did take a big step forward, so we'll see what happens. But Elon says yeah, and responds with a bullseye. And here's Grok doing some ASMR.
The corner of a Yorkshire pub. The world's just a murmur out there. Feel that calm.
Elon has a laugh at that one. Elon says one of these is not like the others. And Hans Nelson says Grok 4 is officially the top AI model in the world. And they got there because Elon gambled big on a paper called The Bitter Lesson from 2019, which was an idea in AI research that said that relying on human expertise as a shortcut to guide AI development is dumb. But methods that use simpler algorithms that can leverage bigger compute and more data, on the other hand, can work like magic. And it's called bitter because it's hard for researchers to accept that their clever ideas are often outdone by brute force compute and large, high quality data sets. So how does XAI stack up in terms of compute and data? On the compute side, XAI has built the world's largest NVIDIA compute cluster with over 200,000 high-performance GPUs all networked together as a single AI training computer. As of June 2025, it has 150,000 H100s, 50,000 H200s, and 30,000 GB200 GPUs. And Elon has stated that they are aiming for 1 million GPU cluster in the next phase of their build-out. That's almost 5 times as large as their current cluster. This fact is terrifying for every other company and nation in the world working on models because XAI already has the world's biggest unified training cluster, and it's growing much faster than anyone can keep up with. Elon's unparalleled speed of execution makes him one of Jensen's favorite customers, which means XAI gets first priority when NVIDIA starts shipping their latest and greatest GPUs. And XAI is also much faster at getting new GPUs added to their cluster once they've been received than any other company. And NVIDIA likes that too because it means they get feedback faster on new products. So between their existing lead, Elon's ability to raise capital, XAI's ability to acquire next generation GPUs before competitors, and their lightning fast speed in putting those new GPUs to work in training, how is anyone supposed to compete with XAI on compute? They can't. That doesn't mean they aren't trying to follow as quickly as possible. Sam Altman is going as fast as he can, but he says none of those projects are anywhere near the timeline that Colossus is on. That is one major reason that OpenAI had to make the pivot into reasoning models right when it became obvious that they were going to lose their training compute advantage to XAI. But remember, compute isn't the only critical component in the bitter lesson. So what about the data? This is where it gets tougher for XAI. They can obviously crawl the open internet just like everyone else training AI models, and they have X, which is a very valuable source of unique text data, especially for discussion of news. But is that enough to keep their massively oversized training computer fed while it trains the next giant AI model? Probably not. So what other data sources have they used to fill the gap? And what will they keep adding as they continue to grow their compute? XAI is leveraging two main areas of data for this: synthetic text data and richer data formats like audio, images, and video. Synthetic data is of course all the rage in AI right now, and this is where XAI focused the majority of their efforts related to growing their data for Grok 4's training. So does XAI have any distinct advantage in synthetic data generation? Hans says, not really. It all depends on whether their team has better ideas. But remember, they do have more compute. So that means that they can try more ideas faster than their competitors. Even if they have a lower density of the right ideas to begin with, they can still iterate toward the correct ideas through trial and error faster than competitors. XAI's compute advantage allows for more shots on goal in less time with frontier training techniques that utilize synthetic data, and the results speak for themselves. And he concludes by saying, between XAI's compute advantage and their connection to Tesla, they are in the prime position to start incorporating more image, audio, and video data into the early training process for their large language models, thus solving the data portion of the bitter lesson as they continue to accelerate into the AGI singularity. He says, did I miss anything or get anything wrong? Elon says, close enough. And Vittorio was testing Grok and he got a weird response, so Elon said, sorry for the idiotic response. We'll fix in the morning. And Tim Sweeney says Grok 4 feels like AGI to me. It's drawing fairly deep insights on problems it hasn't seen before in ways I haven't seen elsewhere. The biggest shortcomings I see is the adoption of confused musings from online forums as facts, coupled with the inability to derive deep insights from intermingled prose and graphics and sources. It needs contextual skepticism and more multimodal visual learning. And Elon agrees. And Elon quoted Tim saying, that was how I felt when asking Grok 4 questions about material science that are not in any books or on the internet. And Deborah asked Grok what he would look like if he had to physically represent himself. And he described himself in text, and then Deborah brought it to life, and this is how it would have looked. And Still says, can Grok adopt our voices? I think it would be very interesting if we could lend our voice to Grok. Elon says, okay. And Alex tested Grok 4 and ChatGPT with the same critical prompts, and Grok 4 displayed some superiority in his tests. Elon said pretty good, but room for improvement. And here's Grok 4 Heavy running its multi-AI agent system where multiple agents will tackle the same problem and they'll compare answers in order to get to the correct answer. He says Grok 4 Heavy is good, and Elon reposted it. And Dan said he asked Grok 4 its favorite math formula, and Grok instantly built an app to visualize the formula. Dan says education has changed. The only thing stopping you from learning is a lack of curiosity. And Elon reposted that one. And this guy says China is scaling solar like it's building a nuclear plant every day. And the AI race runs on energy, not just compute. And China is winning with renewables, and Elon says true. He says China added 93 gigawatts of solar in May 2025 alone, which is like 3 giant nuclear plants per day. Elon says, yep. And today the Secretary of Defense is unleashing US military drone dominance. This is something that Elon's been calling for. So he replies saying, long way to go, but good move. And the rape statistics for England and Wales, in 2000, there were 7,800 reported rapes. 24 years later, there was 71,000 reported rapes. That's an increase of over 800% in just 24 years. What happened? Elon responds with 2 exclamation marks. To offend a strong man, tell him a lie. To offend a weak man, tell him the truth. Marcus Aurelius. Yashu says, sorry to say there's no worse platform to watch long-form videos than X. Scrubbing sucks. When minimizing the video, it often gets dismissed. No easy way to look at comments. Just terrible right now. Elon says, yeah, it needs to be fixed. And the leading report reports that the Epstein case ranks near 0 in what Americans care about. But then this ex-user responds with trending, number 1, Jeffrey Epstein. And Elon responds saying, exactly. And Senator Marsha Blackburn says, for years I've fought to expose the business associates of Epstein and those who were bankrolling his trafficking ring. This has never been about celebrity. It has always been about achieving justice for young women. Human trafficking generates more than $150 billion a year in profits. And I remain committed to breaking apart the human trafficking rings that ensnare innocent victims in modern-day slavery. I'm hopeful we could still uncover this information from the records to assist law enforcement in locking up vile criminals. And Elon likes that. And just like that, the party that was obsessed with Epstein's list didn't want to talk about it anymore. And Elon raises an eyebrow. And Bill Ackman is a fan of Elon Musk. So that is everything that Elon said today. Some really exciting Tesla news. great to see Grok 4's success. If you guys want early access to these videos or you just want to support the channel, you can do so by joining the channel as a member, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.